Hurry to find this place or we'll be late.
Make a left on Astrology Avenue. Oh, I'm sorry, I meant right. It should be right here at 444 Spirit Way. Oh, turn!
It looks like Renee. Yay, we're on time.
The James and Kellee Show.
Great, let's start the show. Hi, everybody. This is James, and welcome to the show. I'm here tonight with a special guest I'll introduce in just a second. Kelly's taking a much-needed rest. I told her to take a couple of weeks off, take 3 weeks off, and we'll just keep on going on here. But she did say to me, would you mind reading this to everybody about the astrology, because it's really important. I don't know about you guys, but it's been kind of crazy energy. It's been feeling even more intense than usual. And I'm someone that's very, conservative with that, but it's been pretty intense. Not only the Queen's funeral today, but I mean, just the whole planet, it feels like it's spinning out of control in some ways. And I asked Kellee earlier, I said, why is that? She said, well, let me send this to you. So she did. Why everything happening now? Well, from September 10th to October 2nd, which we're in right now, 6 planets are in retrograde. 6 planets. So, when Mercury is in retrograde, you hear about that. Mercury retrograde, communication gets messed up, and it's hard to make schedules and things. Communication gets all messed up because of Mercury's communication. You have 6 planets in retrograde. So Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, all in retrograde. So Kellee says, using Vedic astrology, Mercury retrograde is generally a time to review, reassess, and reflect. Very true. And you don't do things quickly. When Mercury is in retrograde, you slow down. It's a good time not to have a knee-jerk reaction about something. So don't sign contracts, look over paperwork. If you start something now, you probably will end up going back and redoing it. So it's a good time just to really reflect on what you've already done, what you already started. A project was started before Mercury retrograde, fine, but don't start something new now because it'll get kind of messed up, it'll get delayed, and it'll get slowed down. So just remember that. It's a very special Mercury retrograde since Mercury is in Virgo. That's its natural sign. And it's also exaltation sign, meaning it's more powerful than normal. So Mercury in Virgo, boy, it's interesting because Virgo is all about regimentation and service and doing the right thing. So that comes into play. I'm a Virgo, so it's been affecting me with my puppies. Retrogrades often lead to past events being resurfaced and further analyzed. So a lot of stuff from your past will come up. Family relationships, friendships, old-time things come back into your the conscious mind again. Things come back up which have not been dealt with. That usually comes back. Retrogrades give 20/20 vision in hindsight. So a clearer perception of what has happened in the past, not to repeat in the future. Right? Retrogrades are here to bring us to the path we are meant to be on. So it's slowing down and really taking care of what's going on around you, being very, very aware of what's happening in your life at the present moment and how you've gotten there and what you need to continue with. And if you can do that with a kind of a clear mind, it's the best way to do it. Otherwise, emotionally, you'll be pulled into it. Jupiter retrograde in Pisces. So Jupiter is the planet of luck and fortune. So it's retrograde also in Virgo, looking at our physical and mental health. Very, very important. And a lot of people I know have been ailing and had to go to hospitals and doctors and all different, 10 people I know. It's been a really interesting time. And weird things have happened to people this past week. Like I've had a couple of cuts in different fingers. Like my friend Jordy, I called her, but she said, you had cuts in certain places in your fingers? I have. Like, what? Yes. What's going on here? So it's all this energy here. Saturn retrograde in Capricorn, letting go of the old. Wow. Saturn retrograde in Capricorn. So Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, its own planet, right? Here again. So it's letting go of the old life themes that no longer apply to you. The past is the past. Let go. The future is yet to be. So what we can do is live for the moment, live right now. Uranus retrograde in Aries. So retrograde is also slow it down, just slow it down and breathe. It's the best way to get through retrograde is just breathe. I often come around my house saying, okay, I surrender, surrender, Dorothy. Like, okay, I surrender because it's just too intense. You just got to breathe, keep on breathing. So Uranus retrograde in Aries gives you the ability to go boldly into a new life. So you have the power and the energy to move forward. So have your dreams and your wishes and know what they are and send them forward. Neptune retrograde in Pisces, looking at our shadow and bringing it into the light. So that shadow side is honoring that dark side or the shadow side, if you want to say, or that unconscious part of yourself. Bring it into the light to receive healing, I would say, and insights. Like that. Use the lens of compassion and spirituality. There you go. We human beings just judge ourselves way too much, and we really have to be more compassionate within ourselves. We have to do that. Pluto retrograde in Pisces, time to develop the psychic and esoteric aspects of your life. Here you go. And it's time to question your beliefs and make some changes. Introspection. This is a powerful time for everyone to go deeply within. So if you haven't yet, you should have by now. Just see who you are. It's a good time to reflect, see who you are, what's happening. So thank you, Kellee White, for that. Appreciate that. And tonight I want to talk about the art of mental mediumship, because that's what I've been doing for 40 years. And along the path of developing mediumship, I met some very incredible people, as you know, I've told you before. And one of those incredible people is my next guest here. My next guest is someone I met as a student, actually. And I asked her, would she like to come on the show tonight to talk with me and share her with you? And I'd like to do that. And let me just get everybody up here for the comments as he was here, and welcome everybody. Hold on. Let me say first hello to Elizabeth and Gretchen. I'm sorry, you guys. Missy Jade, how are you? Janice, Val, Karen, Dawn Wonder. Kellee usually does this, not me. So I'm going to say it. Okay, I'll keep that open. So I'd like to welcome a good friend of mine, a good friend. She's an excellent medium, one of the best I know, and really we have a great connection, her and I. So she's coming to you tonight. She's coming to us tonight from, she's really incredible because we reached her on vacation, on holiday, and she went to a very remote island off Australia, Norfolk Island. And her name is Janelle Campbell, a good friend and great medium. So Janelle, welcome to Both Sides Down Beyond. And here we go. Whoa!
Thank you, James. Thank you, everyone. I know, ta-da! It's crazy. We've got Norfolk. I know. Thank you, James. We've got Norfolk Island mist all around at the moment. It's very interesting, to say the least. And I'm here on a conference, actually. So it's called Cosmic Consciousness Conference. Yes, so it's all things consciousness, which mediumship obviously is, and but delving into Kellee's field of Lemurians and the cosmos and stars and planets and all sorts of crystalline cities and amazing things. So I look forward to the week. Maybe I'll just get beamed up or something.
So, well, I remember you were going to go there, and now it's happening this week, which is funny. And we should explain to everybody also that is in this island, there's a lag time in communication. So she hears this at like 2 or 3 seconds after. So there'll be a little bit of lag, everybody. So just bear with us. But that's what happens when your friend is on an island somewhere and joining. So thank you for joining us. What time is it there, Janelle?
It's just after midday, I believe. Midday. Yes. Okay. Or noon. Do you call it noon?
In the States call it noon. And let me ask this. We're going to talk about the art of mental mediumship. And how long have you been a medium? And how did you get into mental mediumship? That sort of thing.
Yes. Well, I started my actual journey and development about 17 years ago, which is amazing. And, I've had lots of stuff happen since childhood, like, a lot of us have. But it was when my husband passed away in 2004 that I thought, all right, buddy, I know you there somewhere and I'm going to come looking. And I started learning and developing and doing courses. And in fact, James, as you know, you were my very first teacher. And back in the early days, like 2005 or something.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing? And I went on one of your Yeah, it's incredible. So it's amazing how things come full circle, really. And but after that, I came back to Sydney and delved deeper into trying to find the right teachers. And it's a bit of a hit and miss for a little while, trial and error. You've got to find the right compatibility and what fits with you mentally and emotionally. and good solid learning. And I did that, and it took several years, and I sat in a closed circle for 4 years until that teacher, and his name was Ezio De Angelis in Sydney, and a well-known teacher at the time, and you just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and then eventually I found you again, and about 10 years into my development, and met up in Dublin. I think we had a wonderful adventure in Dublin, and then off to Amsterdam.
How could I forget?
And the rest is history. I know. It was your birthday indeed, yes. And you were the present, darling.
We had the best time. We did a workshop there and somewhere in Holland, in the west of Holland. I forget where it was. And then we went to Amsterdam for the weekend.
In this one and a half.
That's right. And then we went to Amsterdam for the weekend, and we visited my relatives in the this museum for the Holocaust Museum. We saw their we saw their name.
That's
that
right.
was interesting. Yes. And a funny thing I want to ask you, Janelle, your husband had the same birthday as I did. Is that right?
He did indeed, yes. And all these synchronicities and signs, and we've had them a lot, you and I anyway, over the years, but all these synchronicities and signs started to evolve, and it was freaking me out. I thought, man, what's going on, and not only was I in a workshop with James Van Prague, but all these other things started happening, and it was very exciting. And I find that, when you're in the right direction, it goes very fast, doesn't it? Time seems to speed up a bit. And it moves very quickly, the quickening, I call it. So, yes, and there's quite a few similarities between the two of you, indeed, yes, which is lovely.
We do have a lot in common. It's very, very odd. I'll tell this story quickly from Janelle. I did an event in Costa Rica and invited Janelle to go with me, and it was at the Blue Spirit Retreat Center. And it was very interesting because we got down to Costa Rica, and I guess on the plane or something, I lost my voice, and I really couldn't conduct the workshop at the best I could. So I did 2 days, 2 or 2.5 days on this workshop, pretty much in silence. And people give me herbs and different remedies, and one lady had a whole batch of things, and it went really well. And we did some great exercises because being in the silence, you really do have to listen, right? So it worked really well. And then we found that Janelle did half the class for me. You taught a little bit of the class as well. Remember? And the best one was,
I was the voice.
You were the voice. And then on our way home, I looked at Janelle, and she had lost her voice.
Completely. And it's like sign language. Lucky we have this mind-to-mind connection, James, that we can communicate at a different level.
We do. We have a mind-to-mind. It's that connection of past. We call people a past life connection, but we do have definitely that connection, that resonation, and it's really, I think, incredible in a lifetime of a journey of mediumship, which is really kind of a solid. It's really a solo kind of act, if you will. It's a lot of solitude involved, being with yourself.
Sure
but when you meet someone on the journey who you can relate to and who get to you at many levels, wow, is that a celebration?
Yeah, it's great. And it just opens up that bud even more, if you like, you feel relaxed and joyous, because mediumship is so spontaneous, it's passion and it's joy and it's love and it's openness. And I find that, when you're with people of like mind, it's much easier to learn and to feel it, truthfully feel what's going on within you.
I think because when you're with someone like that, you're allowed to be yourself. You're just allowed. There's no judgment. You're just allowed to shine and expand and be who you are. And it's kind of a support. You have support there to do the best you can do. And that's, and we've done double links together. We've done some work together. It's been great. One thing Janelle did, which I don't think I've ever done since you, because she just stole the show, was she was not blindfolded, but I had her put her back to the audience in the workshop, students, participants, and she had to let the spirit guide her where to go. And I think you exactly got, I think, a girl's mother, and you went right to the area of the audience. It was really amazing. It was pretty incredible. Not seeing anything. Just that was a good
I
one.
know. And you've done a lot of things to me, James, over the years.
It's very, very true.
But trust. Yeah,
But
just trust and go with it. And I came along to those workshops and those teachings with a very much experience. I wanted experience, in mind. And I don't know, James, you must have got so bored with me, but I put my hand up at every opportunity I could, and I thought, hey, I've come a long way to do this, and I wasn't going to miss out. So that's part of your development. Great. You just have to do it.
So people that are watching this,
it's great.
Mental mediumship. So what would you say is the best, well, for you in your experience of being a student, now a teacher and a medium and so forth, what's the best advice you can give for developing mediumship, mental mediumship for people that are here?
Yeah. So I think, in a simple form, it's evidentially based and for mental mediumship. And we start off in that sphere, if you like, and it's not just, we've really moved on from, oh, yes, they're 6 foot, and they've got this and they're wearing a shirt. And, we really need to move very quickly past that. And, it's still there a little bit. But anyway, we push on. And so evidential mediumship is about the spirit person themselves. So your loved one, your friend, whoever is part of your life and your world that's passed away. So it's all about them, I say, all about them. There's nothing really about the person, the human. It's all about the spirit person, and so we work with the spirit person, and they support us, and we support them. We are their voice. We are the best version that we can be of them in this human space. So we provide things like personality, stories. Stories are beautiful. There's so much to us, and when I leave this place, and I know you, James, you just don't want to come through and some medium pick up and go, oh yes, blah blah, wore a pretty shirt. That's not it. And there's more to us than that. If you think about yourselves and your own lives, then the richest version of you. So that's the things that we bring through in mediumship to establish that link and with them. And then we can open it up and let go of the mind more and more and more, and speak, openly communicate between the two worlds. And it's just extraordinary and wonderful.
I just want to interrupt a second, Janelle, by just saying one thing. I'm aware of everyone with the comments, and I can't answer you, but I'm watching them, and thank you, everybody, because I am reading them. I'm doing multitasking. But one thing I want to say back to Janelle is, and hello, everybody. I know Newfoundland, Manchester, hi, Pete. That the thing you mentioned earlier was when you were so enthusiastic, and I'll put my hand up here, and that's what mediumship is. It's that passion, it's that joy. And when you are in that state of mediumship, mental mediumship, we're talking here, we all work differently because everybody is different. But you in particular, Janelle, let's say you're on stage doing a demonstration. Explain to people your process of how you're aware of what happens to you when you become aware of the spirit person, and what is it for you that happens that you'd like to share?
Yeah. So the first thing I do is just center myself. We just can't come in off the street and go blah, blah, blah. Sometimes it does work like that. But when we're doing a show or sitting, we just need to center ourselves, take some beautiful breaths in just to calm the human mind and calm the body. And then as I become aware, so I shift my thoughts. I simply shift my thoughts, and I move into that other way, and I start to broaden and open my mind, and I can feel the energy around me. So how do we do that? You just imagine, see, or feel it any way you do. Just know that it exists. And then I start to think about the spirit world. Well, who's there? You know, we think, oh God, please give me somebody. We all think that. But, you know, I start to feel and sense and open my thoughts and open my mouth, to be perfectly honest. And I know at that moment, and I trust and know my mediumship so well, that I know that as soon as I go, I am aware that I have and a person here, and I know that he's like this, and I know that he does that. You know, it's all of these sorts of things. And as the person and I, the spirit world and I come together, we build our energies and our power and our thoughts. We blend our thoughts. Well, not only our thoughts, but our bodies. We feel sentiently, you know, we feel all these different things. We might see things. I certainly hear mind to mind. And then you start to feel, and then you just offer all these different things that move very fast, very quickly indeed. And when we first start out, you know, it's like, you know, drawing teeth, really. But, you know, the quicker and the lighter the vibration and the frequency, the quicker we move and get out as much information as we can. You can hear I'm not stopping talking. You know, it's that sort of thing that gives the energy, lends itself to spirit. And so we're offered more, we grasp more. So when a spirit person steps by my side, I offer the evidence, I connect with the audience member, or if it's a private sitting, likewise, and offer for the support of the spirit person, who they are, what they're doing, why they're here, what they were like, you know, in just simple nuts and bolts, you know. But it's very beautiful, and you use your own personality, you know, like the spirit world connects with your personality as much as anything, and if you're joyous and passionate about your work, no matter what it is, that joy and passion helps elevate the connection, if you like, and they will work with you. So you know, in short, that's what I do.
Really well, and a couple of things I wrote down. I just want to remember that I loved a couple of your points that you made, and for people that are watching this and are new to this or want to develop, some of the things you mentioned, I think, are some most important parts. Well, first of all, the joy, the passion, you have to have that, because the spirit people have to have something to work with, and they work with the love and the joy that you have. They come from love. But something you said, Janelle, which was really, really important, is shift your awareness. Because people that are developing mediums feel like, I gotta do this. I gotta get a message out. It doesn't work like that. You have to quiet the mind, like you said, still the mind, and shift your awareness to the nothingness, if you will, to the nothingness, and they will fill it up. So you have to be willing to let go and let them come in. Just shift it to the nothingness. And then you said blending, which of course blending, you kind of get out of the way or step back and let them come forward. And it's almost like being a good actor. You know, you just bring that character through. And one thing which you have in common with myself, we love, is the art of discovery. Ooh, what is this person like? The curiosity. Oh, what is that person like? Oh, they're a funny kind of person. Curious. Yeah, it works really well when we do that. And the other thing you said, which not too many people say, which I think is excellent and really wonderful, is opening your mouth and speaking. Because so many people don't want to, because they're thinking, and they're like, I always say I always say, okay, you have a constipation face. Because you're thinking too much.
I know.
It's a no-brainer. Hello. You just feel.
Exactly. I know. Yeah. What? Exactly. Yeah. And, you know, I think the art of opening your mouth and just going, have a go. And it doesn't matter, you know, in practice, it doesn't matter if you're wrong in a class, you know, but you will never know if you're right or wrong if you don't open your mouth. And, you know, I've had students over the years, and they say, I don't know if I'm not getting, you know, and doing all this stuff. The only thing I'm feeling is this. And I'm going, oh my God, that is the thing. That's what you need to be doing. You know, that's it. Keep going.
Crack open the door. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to crack it open, kids. You know, that's what we have to do.
Yeah. And I think through mediumship, or the art of mental mediumship is very different than physical mediumship. But in mental mediumship also, it is the mind, of course. And it really is a wonderful, I think, with the art of discovery. Yet we're natural curiosity seekers. Forget the National Enquirer. We find out more information from the personalities that come through, the way people live lives, what's important to people, what's not important to people, relationships and families. I mean, what would you say as far as it's really, really interesting. One of the first things people do when they pass over is have a life review. And what has your experience been with that, Janelle, with spirits that have come through and talked about that? What has been the common themes or things they've talked about?
Yeah. Well, there's, everyone says they're sorry for a start, and there are very difficult relationships. Look at the relationships in your own life and what you don't deal with here, we have to deal with once we get back. And so oftentimes they have more, they say things like, I didn't realize when I was, in my life, living my life, and how this affected you and how these things turned around. So I have a clearer understanding now of my thoughts, words, and actions upon you, the human. And then they'll also tell you what they're working on in the spirit world, which is really amazing. We get so much insight into their world as well. Now, there's not so much evidential based stuff there. Really, it's just for us, I think, sometimes, but we have to establish the evidence, of course. But, oftentimes they're working on.
Like, what are they working on?
Excuse me. They're working on compassion. They're working on being more thoughtful, and, they do have wider interests as well. They might like music, or they might like engineering, or they might like, something, that continues to help the human side of things. They can influence us in all kinds of ways. So we if we're just being people and doing our things, sometimes they'll influence us to be brighter and to not feel so sad, or to give yourself a break, and they can do all of these things. So they do come through with lots of understandings, with people that have taken their own lives. One lady said to me once, she said, I didn't understand it then, but I'm learning that now. Oh, she said, I'm actually working on that right now. And the spirit world speaks so remarkably and beautifully that we don't understand. We just think, oh, they're these cute things that are floating around somewhere. My God. That's not it at all. And it's not a game. It's totally not a game. And like you, James, we take our mediumship very seriously, and we work very, very hard to be the best we possibly can be. And I'm developing all the time, but we have a lot of fun.
Yeah. And you're doing the right thing, because you have someone's life in your hand, and you have to take care of that. You have to be responsible for that. I had a very interesting morning when I watched some of the Queen's funeral, and then I was just shaving, getting ready for today, and I was always at wonder. I always put my mind to that sense of what's going on here in the spirit side, in that realm or that realm. Like, I know what's going on here with this parade or procession, I say, for the Queen, but what's happening in the spirit side of life? And Spirit said to me, there are many, many worlds here, and there are many happenings going on. That's just one of many. But that's not who that soul was. That's what the character she played, the role she played at that time, but it's much more than that. And then they said many souls, and this was really interesting, and I won't know until I pass over, you won't until you pass over, but I've heard this, that today I heard this, the first time I heard this term, that over here there is the Hall of Sorrows. Never heard that before. And I said, well, what is the Hall of Sorrows? Yeah. And it was a place that people go to and review their lives, and there might be some regrets, and they are getting counseling and help clearing their mind in the Hall of Sorrows. Wow. That's that interesting.
Wow. That's beautiful. It gives us all hope, don't you think? Yeah, that's beautiful. And it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and it makes us learn right now, as the client said, as lady came through from the spirit world, pay attention now. Don't wait to pass over, because now is what counts.
Yeah, now is what counts, and this is our experience, and this is why we've agreed to come. It's not an accident. It's not just some glitch in the universe somewhere, and we have our role to play while we're in this human fashion, and that's the most important thing, to unwind and to relive in different situations, I guess, similar aspects of you. And it's remarkable, and I would just suggest to anybody that's watching or beginning their journey, just read as much as you can, and learn about the spirit world, and how it all fits together, because it's remarkable. And you are just a wealth of knowledge, James, through all the beautiful books and things that you've written, and it's we're very grateful to have that.
Well, thank you, Janelle. One thing I'd like to say, one thing that you and I both have in common. Here I go, Janine said, but I will. I think a great medium is someone who remains humble. Really, I think there's got to be humility, and the more you discover mediumship, or the world within world of the world, you realize how very small piece you are in the scheme of things, and that there's so much greater and expansion, and there's major, so we're just a little piece. And I think that for me, that really keeps me grounded and in truth and integrity, because
Totally.
we're just a small part of the bigger,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. And being grounded is very important, of course, but that's why we have so much fun when we're all together, because we're being human and we're being real, and that's the remarkable thing. I think the more we learn about this world and the next world and all the worlds beyond, you begin to realize that we are just a little scrape along the bottom of the sea, and it changes you. Mediumship changes you into something greater than you could ever expect. And I don't mean big ego stuff. I mean, you have a greater sense of life and worlds, and really the world within. You are vast within this space. You are vast. We are vast, and everything is captured within you, within our human form, and it's very exciting because we've got a soul.
Yes.
Who knew?
And what I know, there are a lot of people that want to ask questions. So Renee, why don't we take some questions for Janelle and myself, and if people have questions. And since we spoke last, Mavis Patilla passed away, Janelle.
That's true. That's very true. Yes, bless Mavis, and we've all had some strange little experiences along the way with that. And I was teaching a class the other night, and I was just writing my notes up prior to it, and I suddenly started thinking about Mavis, and I went, oh, and then I started giggling because I thought, oh my God, she's listening, she's here. It was funny. It was just oh, Mavis, sorry. Whatever. So yeah, beautiful Mavis. She deserves to be in that beautiful space. She worked hard and long.
She worked very hard. I asked her, she came through on it once, and I asked her what was like, and she just kept saying beyond. She goes, James, it was beyond. It was beyond. She couldn't describe it, which most spirit, they can't. It was a medium. She couldn't describe it to me. Yeah. So we have a question here from Elise.
We haven't got a clue. My apologies. Yes. No.
My mediumship is like a faulty flashlight. Sometimes clear as a bell. Other times I know spirit is there, but I only get flashes of what they're wanting. Any suggestions? First of all, I'll answer it, and then Janelle. But number one, they're always there. But they show up, but do you show up? So I would say at least sit and more development, and open yourself up and surrender more. And be in that, like I talked earlier, art of discovery, that curiosity. Have that curiosity, and don't try and make it happen. Let them come into you. Don't let you go to them. Just be there. Janelle, what would you respond?
Yes, I certainly think we have to go to them. I really do think that, and to build from there and to blend. Really get your mind out of the way, Elise. I find that, the more you're involved, the less you're going to recognize. And it's not so much that the spirit world's not there offering you these things. They're going, here I am, and this is what I'm saying, and everything about them. And they're helping produce the tone within you. So settle yourself, I would say. If life's a bit crazy, just move into your internal space, just breathe and move into the center, and then accept and trust. For goodness sake, trust the things that are coming forward. And you must, in my humble opinion, practice with somebody, and get validation or understanding straight away in real time. It's really important, especially at the beginning of your development. So it's there, it's working. It's just you, perhaps, that's not trusting it enough.
Very good. Thanks. Thank you very much, Janelle. Okay, Nancy Powers Connolly. Hi, Nancy. How can you stop doubting yourself when you believe you received a message, but then, oh no, it can't be. I'm not that good. Sometimes my intuition yells at me to get my attention. Well, first, I know you're going to say, Janelle. Go ahead, Janelle. You answer this.
Nancy, in the greatest of love, joy, and respect, and I honor the path, my darling, get over it. You really have. Well, you've said it yourself. You doubt yourself. You've answered your question, love. So, stop doubting, just trust and give it a crack. That's all you have to do. And be kind to yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Get over it. We don't care. We actually don't care about how much you beat yourself up. Just move on, push through it, and start to settle more into you. And it's there. It's already happening.
Yeah, and I would say, Nancy, it's your ego getting in the way. If you're doubting, you stop doubting yourself. That means your mind, you're thinking about it. So you're thinking about it, and if you think about it, it won't happen because you're in the way. So you got to get out of the way. The ego's in the way. EGO, edging God out. EGO, edging God out, and you're in the way. So the moment you can surrender and let it be, just let it be. But the more you start thinking about it, it's not going to happen. Very good. Okay. Good luck, sweetheart. Renee M. Day. I love that name, Renee M. Day. Okay, I went to see several mediums, and every single person always says they can't see anything because it is too chaos and busy to connect with anyone for me. Well, my background, I think that's a bunch of BS. I get money back from many of those mediums because they don't know mediumship then, because spirit world's always available, but are we? So I mean, that tells me that medium isn't developed enough to get. I've never had. Well, maybe one or twice I couldn't get through. Who knows that someone it doesn't happen often. I'll just say that it does happen, but not many times. More than happens, I get through a spirit that they weren't thinking about, that the spirit had to come through. But Renee, I'm going to just say I don't think the mediums were developed enough. Janelle?
Yeah, I would say similarly, James. And I mean, sometimes the client does come to you and they're all pent up and wanting and needy and all the stuff. It's your job as the medium to kind of, deflect that a bit or say, let's chat for a while, like, where are you at? Because the medium's going to feel it. Where you're at psychically, they sense it. But it is a bit of BS, to be perfectly honest. Find a better medium, my darling, and don't go in with these great expectations if that's what happens. I only want to hear from that one person. And then you do kind of just know, and I've had it. I've had people sit, and James has probably had the same. They just want to talk to one person. And you have a raft of other visitors who come through first to offer their support to you, the sitter. And you've just gone, no. I had one lady, and I won't say the words she said, but she slammed, her husband came forward, and she slammed her fist down on the desk and on the thing and said, I don't want to speak to him. He didn't give an F about me while he was alive, and I don't give an F about him now that he's dead. And so, and this husband was that, sorry, love, you did say it was a frank discussion. And then the spirit man, the man in spirit, was going, oh, I'm really sorry. And so he and I are then having this conversation. I'm giggling in my head. I'm just giggling. And so, but then you have to calm the poor love down again and do whatever. So, be in the right space, be open to whoever comes forward, because one is a doorway to another.
I've had a very similar experience, like you said. I had the same exact thing with the woman whose sister came through, and she said, I don't want to speak to her. I didn't like her in life, but I don't like her now. And really, we got to realize that spirit person is coming through to help, to say they're sorry, forgive them, and they're doing the best they can. And if we understood and take the time to just listen to them, let them speak, and it'll be a healthy healthy reading. Yeah, we got to be open to everything. I do not like, and it's really just ignorance. I think it is that there are certain clients or certain people that you could give them everything, but they haven't heard the nickname. I want that nickname. And you can give them incredible evidence, but they're not through the nickname. And it's not that easy to do for spirit to concentrate on that little thing. It's so difficult from their world. So, but I mean, when we close off our mind to everything else and you say one particular thing, there's no reason to go to a medium, really, because you're closed off, really. Just close off. Be open to the total experience.
Exactly.
Just like in life.
Exactly.
Okay. Melody McClure.
Yes.
My grief is so overwhelming right now. How do I release it so I can have my departed husband come through? Well, Melody, number one, grief is not easy. It's a really hard, raw emotion. And now, of course, these retrogrades, 6 retrogrades, it's actually a pretty good time to reflect and to go within and see what the relationship is about. You haven't lost him. He's just in a different form. And, it's raw right now. It's raw. It's overwhelming. You're going to have bits of crying and anger. And, I wrote the book Healing Grief. It's a great book for going through it. But, we list all the different emotions that one goes through. And you kind of have to go through it. It's a human thing. And he'll come through. He'll be there. You'll calm down and be able to receive him. Janelle?
Yes, most definitely. And I can say this from personal experience, Melody. It is a very tough road, when they first pass and that they're there somewhere. So, and grief and trauma and loss is a big deal. It's a big thing. But what I did was to help me, I would go to bed at like 7 o'clock at night and I would just read books. I would read books by James Van Praagh. I would read books by whoever, but I would read the books and that helped me through my grief and my loss, because I started to open my mind and just trust that he was there somewhere. Now, it's not that he's not with you. I can tell you firsthand, they're trying to get information or messages or signs through to you every step of the way. I've gone through the flashing lights and I've gone through, once upon a time he would leave $20 bills wherever I was. It was great. But until I said it was just a little sign. But anyway, but look, it will pass. You will move through this part of it. You will never fully get over it. Never. And grief and because it's love, you love him, he loves you, and trust that he still loves you. We feel through grief that could that have been real, but please trust it. He loves you more than ever right now, and he would only want you to prosper and take care of yourself and trust the small footsteps. So you'll be right, darling. You'll be right.
And Robert Kirby writes, grief has a strength of its own, which steers our ship during those moments we're unable to do this for ourselves. Trust the process and know that your loved ones are never fully gone. Very good, Robin. It's very, very true. Very, very true.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Susie
Yes,
writes, can you explain evidentiary mediumship? Thank you. Yes. I would say all mediumship is evidential, but evidential mediumship is really when the medium is really brings forth, if you will, aspects of that soul that you would know about, that the sitter would know about. So might be their name, might be their personality traits, might be a memory that you shared with them. It's evidential medium means proof of life after death, basically. That's what it is. And that's what mediumship is. It's proof that the consciousness survives death. That's really what it is. Janelle, would you have any more response to that?
No, I think that's perfect. I think you've done all right there, James. I think we'll leave it at that. But it's true. It's very true.
Mark says, either of you use guides to bring through the past over. I'm working medium and I use guides to bring through the past over. Thank you. I would say for me in the beginning, Janelle, I should be a gentleman and let you answer this first.
Oh, thank you, love. No is the short answer. And why trust that they're there, that's for sure. They're there. But work on your mediumship using the power and all sorts of things that you want to use. But don't think, I've got to get a translator or my guide's got to help talk to me so I can talk to you. It just gets in the way, I find. They do help with us and our development and everything about it. I'm not saying they don't, and it's vital. We know that. But we have to underscore the fact that we are the mental medium. And so you are working with the spirit world, and the spirit world trusts you to work through you. So don't worry about your guides. Bless them. Do whatever you want to do prior and after your readings, and give your thanks. It's very important, but you don't necessarily need them to be there, consciously, while you're working.
I think you're right, Janelle. I completely agree with you that there's part of the mind, Patty, that you have to. It sometimes becomes a crutch that I have to have a guide that can make the communication. Not at all. They work behind the scenes for sure. They might work with the space that you're in. They work with the person that's coming through to tell them how to concentrate that thought and emotion and send it to the mind of the medium. They do work them. They're the unseen. They're behind you. They're behind the scenes. So they're already in space. They're already set up. But again, are you as a medium ready? Are you? So what Janelle says is perfect because it's about you. It's not about your guides are there, but you have to, like you said, sit in power and develop. A lot of students, not a lot, but several people in over my workshops for many years would sit there. It just happened recently. I was with Gordon Smith doing a workshop, and several of the students were sitting there with a pad and writing when they were getting a message through. And I had to say to them, listen, I do, when I'm doing Zoom calls, I just do that on the side just to get the distracted out of the way, and I'm not getting messed that way. I'm just writing things down. But when you're in communication, you have to be right there with spirit, because if you have a pad in your pen, subconsciously you're not completely there. You're still there's part of you still, which is that pad and that pen. And and I see all the time workshops like, let that stuff go. It's like, also, I need to hold an object, psychometry, to contact someone. You don't need the object. So there's all these things we tell our mind that we need in order to make this happen. And just let it be. It's very, very true.
No, you don't need it. And then, it's, I suppose, oh, I'm sorry. May I speak? I think it's quite natural to want to get the information and for it to be correct, but don't freak out. I just go into my space now, and we call it, my guides and my team, we call it standby. I'm on standby now, because the more you prepare, you do not prepare one earlier, and just let it flow naturally and let it speak for itself. It's too hard. You'll be worn out. You'll be totally a wreck by the time you get to actually doing something. My apologies. I interrupted.
No, Vala Abera, hi. Lately, I've been feeling a sensation that I normally feel when I sit in the power. Good. Or meditate, or my feet tingle, or I'll feel like I'm in a trance state. This is happening when I'm not meditating, though. I'm getting ready to begin my spiritual business as an oracle card reader, healer, physical, medium, psychic, and have been doing a lot of inner healing work. Do you think this is spirit's kind of way of pushing me to keep moving forward? Thank you. Janelle, go for it.
Oh, thanks, James. Okay, Val. I would not worry about too much of that. I really wouldn't. I would yes, the ego feels all the sensations. You physically, if you feel too much, and you say you're moving into a trance state, you're in an altered state. You're not the idea is you won't be yourself. You won't be feeling anything really in the true trance state. Sometimes we do get tingles or weird things happening to us within our bodies, but I don't know, just let go of that and continue working naturally, more naturally, I would say, and less expectation perhaps.
Yeah.
See how it goes.
Yeah, and I think it's as you said, Janelle, it's being in the human mind. The human mind can create so many things, especially when developing mediums, and it sounds like there's a lot there. Val has a lot going on. I would say be very careful what your intention behind the work is, and I would say, because you have all those different things going on, pick one out and be the best at that one thing instead of so many different things you have. The oracle card business, and that card business, and that. Do one thing. How about one thing and be the best that one thing you can be? I think that's the best way. Instead of throwing things on the wall, we'll take one thing and really work at it. And what is the intention behind it? That's the most important thing. It's not hopefully to get rich and be a star or be a celebrity. It shouldn't be that. Wrong intention, wrong reason to do it. Really, it's the wrong reason. The only reason I was well known was because spirit people had me write a book. I didn't even want to be on television, but it just happened naturally, really. And it's got to do the work about service. It's servicing humankind. It's letting your souls work. It's not the ego work. It's the soul's work. And we got to find that out, because once we pass over and we look back at our lives, We want to make sure we do things in a clear way. So we just got to all make sure when we get involved in this type of work, we're doing it for the right reasons. Okay. Another question.
Exactly.
Miss Jade. Hi, Missy Jade. Hi, guys. If we stop getting signs, is that because we are closed off from our grief? I have lost multiple people in tragic circumstances, and I don't get signs anymore. Janelle, how would you answer that?
Well, sometimes I find signs in waves, to be honest, like they'll be there, but, maybe our minds are too preoccupied with the earthly stuff and that we don't see it or give me a better sign. You might pick up a sign, but then all of a sudden it's like, show me a better one, give me another one. And the more needy we are in that respect, the less you're likely to accept, I think. So Missy, the signs are definitely there. We've all gone through grief. James and I both go through grief and loss and all sorts of things. And yes, we do want to see a sign. I want to see a physical sign. And they're there. We just have to trust and pick it up and be grateful for what is coming forward at that moment. So I find it goes in waves. I find that I'll either see signs everywhere or there's not much happening. But I think it's my mind. I really do think it's my mind that gets in the way.
Yeah. I agree with Janelle again, because I get sense of this waves. It comes in waves, or I'm more aware at certain moments. My mind is more open, and they're all different. And you have to remember that signs are very subtle. They're not going to hit you over the face. It might be you're driving a car and all of a sudden a truck goes by and there's a name of a person that you knew, or there's a bird that comes and sits on your knee, or who knows. There's all different types of ways, very subtle ways. But it's very true what Janelle said. If you try, it won't happen. I explained this the other day in Soul Care. I was doing about how you hear from spirit or get signs from spirit, and if you want to hear from spirit, imagine that it's like a feather falling from the heavens. And if you put your hand out and you try to reach for the feather will go away. But if you just gently put your hand out, the feather might just very easily go into the palm of your hand. That's what it's like with signs. It's so subtle. It's so sensitive. It's the little ripples. So be aware of the soft and gentleness of the signs. That's really what it's about. Okay,
Very
thanks,
much.
Missy.
Beautiful.
Charlene Miller, why is it? Am I saying that right? What is it? Why does it? Yeah. Why does it? Our own personal hardest time do spirits come to? Okay. So what I think is what you're trying to say, Charlene. Why is it that in the hardest times in our lives, that spirits come to us so much easier? I don't know. It's different for every person. I think for some people it's very hard. Having a hard time to bring spirit through. But I find it's when your mind is preoccupied on something, then you really spirit will have room to come in. So it's a really bad colored expression, but I get my best information when I go pee. I'll be a demonstration as I come back at the second part of it. And it was because my mind was not thinking. My mind was not in the way, and it gives them space to come in. So when you're sometimes in life, when there's a struggle going on, your mind is there, then they can just get in that mindset. What do you think, Janelle?
Totally. I find it, I totally agree with you, James, but I find it the other way around. When I'm in grief or hardship or whatever, it's harder to reach because I'm so caught up in my human aspect, and I'm in pain and I'm angry, or I'm all of those sorts of things that we are as humans. And they're, bless them, they're probably trying to get through hell for leather, but I block it out, I'll speak for me. So I find it similarly, James, So thank you for your lovely description. I'll just clean my third eye.
Yeah, there you go. And a lot of people say they get a shower. They get it when they're not driving the car.
Yeah, shower, water. Yeah, water. Yeah, definitely water. Yeah. So yes, it definitely. So we're all different.
There you go. Michelle Ballion, the day after we brought my daddy's ashes home, a hawk walked into the garage by me. There you go. It just stood there and looked at me, and I stared at it for a good 4 to 5 minutes. But then I'm going to cry. Then he walked out and flew away. I'm devastated with my dad's passing. He was my hero. Does he know I'm so sad every day? It's been a little over a year. I can't get over him. Well, number one, Michelle, he hears your thoughts very, very clearly, very, very strongly. That was an incredible sign. And for the spirit world, the intelligence of that world to make that happen and manifest for you, wow, what a gift. What a gift. and that was your dad. So, and you haven't lost your dad. And again, it's a process, and it's, it's part of our hearts being ripped out. I remember my sister was at our parents' home after my mom had passed, probably within a year, and there was a butterfly that landed on. She was sitting on the steps in the front of the house, on the stoop, and the butterfly came and sat right next to her. And it was funny because 5 minutes before, I was thinking of my mother. She got up and she went back to the backyard to the garage, and the butterfly followed her all the way there and landed on the bicycle. Come on. Now, for that to happen,
Cool.
that world, it's definitely. And I think that, again, that makes us so humble and honored. Wow, that intelligence can make that happen. It's incredible, isn't it?
It is amazing. It's an absolute miracle. I look at things like that and think these are working miracles at work, and it only takes us to recognize it. So, Michelle, definitely your dad is there. He's with you. He's around you. And why would he just not be there, and think about those things, and as you come to grips with grief, and it's a bit hit and miss sometimes, isn't it? Some days you'll feel better than other days, and so on those days that you do feel okay, perhaps write him a little message and physically write it down, and then see what comes back at you, and write down whatever you feel is coming back at you. James did a wonderful exercise years ago, and it's writing a letter to the loved one in the spirit world that you've lost. And so you write a dear, dad or dear husband, whoever it might be, sister, and write, pour your heart out, absolutely pour your heart out, get it all on paper, do it there. You're writing him a letter, and then a couple of days later, sit in the same space, just breathe again when you feel more relaxed, and then he writes, "My darling Michelle," and then just allow the words to flow, and don't question it. Even if you think it's all rubbish, just write them anyway. And you'll be surprised how that will help. It's beautiful.
Yeah, all different ways, methods I find fun. Like another one is like, you're sitting in the silence, if you will, and toning into yourself, as you talked about. Imagine your mind that there's a blank chalkboard, and let them just start writing in chalkboard a message to you. Any way you can, that's fine. So all different ways. Skywriting, they have skywriters. Maybe imagine that in your mind.
Yeah, beautiful.
Open up your imagination and just let it be, and be in the stillness of your being as you do that. It's an interesting one, because you have to get out of the way sometimes too. You got to surrender, and it's all about learning to surrender and really being in the stillness of your being. And it's that space that you're giving them the space for them to come into the mind. Yeah. So
Exactly. And mediumship is all about, creation and imagination. That's what gives it life. And so use your imagination and use that creativity and see where that takes you. Not delusion, but your creativity and your imagination, because that's where spirit starts to do its finest work, my love.
So true. So true.
Yeah.
I find creative people, great mediums are creative people, very creative people, because that's that force, that creative force. That God force is creativity. That's what it is. And people use it in different ways. Some use mediumship, some use it baking, some use it accounting, whatever they want to do with that creative force, that life force, they use it. But in a mediumship, we use it to have that passion, the joy, the understanding, and create a lovely space for them to come in. Today, when I was watching the Queen's funeral in the church, and there was that box there with a flag on it, and I'm like, wow, if we could create that beautiful sanctuary in our minds and have that opening and let them come in and create a beautiful altar or space, because that's what I used to do. We talked earlier about the question about the guides. When I first started, and I still, every once in a while, I was still with the demonstration, create a lovely space in my mind for them to fill it up. And it's a lovely little sanctuary in my mind for them to come into, and just use your creativity to make that happen.
Yeah.
They love when you do that. It's fabulous.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah, that's beautiful. I must try that.
You must try that now.
Yes,
So Kellee asked, how do you know if you're calling as being a medium? Well, I think, Janelle, why don't you answer that? Because that's a good question.
Well, it will grab you. It will take most of your interest. It will just keep coming at you. Like there'll be certain things that you might put aside because you've got to go and do something earthly or, mundane. But, 6 months later, you might think, oh, that thing is still there. Why am I still thinking about that? Well, that's because you haven't worked with it yet. And it's still there because it's still that creative pulse that's moving within you. So just start doing something. Just start, and you'll soon know if your calling is to be a medium or whatever it might be. But you must start.
Because, being a medium, by the way, everybody, is a lifestyle. It's not something you just dip your toe into. It's a lifestyle. And you have to live your entire life. Totally. I mean, you're in 100%. You can't go in 50% or 40% or maybe on a Tuesday. It doesn't work that way. You're fully involved. Your whole being of your life, everyone around you, the world you live in. And that's what I said earlier on this journey. It's you're in solitude. A lot of time you're in your own solitude. And when you meet great people like Janelle in my journey, and we can share these parts, it's like, wow, someone else understands this mindset. So it really is a lifestyle. I can't emphasize that enough. You have to turn over your life. It's like I was going to be a priest. And like now I understand what it means to be of service in this way. Because, like watch the Queen. She gave a whole life of service. This mediumship is total service. You have to be of service. That's what it's all about. Completely. Every part of you, even when you're working, you're living as a medium. You're aware of your surroundings, your mindset, people in your life, what your thoughts are. It really isn't easy. It's a lifestyle. You're always working. So right.
Always. But it does become you. Or you become it, like we morph. And, as I was saying earlier, that it changes you. And I can, like you, James, like we live, eat and breathe and sleep and whatever this stuff.
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
Because we know we are something else. And
the bigger picture.
So it does change you and it moves us. And if it doesn't, continue, keep going, keep working.
I want to mention to everybody that you see right here, Spiritual Healer Certification course. So that's a month-long online learning experience. And I created this course a couple of years back, and this is an updated course now. And I'm doing some conference calls, and starts Wednesday, September 21st at 4 o'clock p.m. Pacific. Call number 1. There are 4 calls, so I hope you guys can join me if you feel a calling to work with that divine energy within yourself and big service. Please feel free to. And Janelle, I want to thank, and there's the link is there in my, thank you, my comments. And there we go. So this, Janelle, they can reach her on Facebook, Janelle Campbell, and also Janelle.Campbell.96. I don't have that one. Where'd that come from?
That's Instagram.
Oh, it's Instagram. And I might say, by the way, several people that the way your media work is, they're very impressed with how your media presence is, and you do that all yourself, don't you?
Yes, I do, and I have a little bit of prompting from my daughter, to be honest, who's into this whole thing. So we have an army of helpers behind us. But yes, you have to do it. You have to just step up and step forward, and I find that very difficult, to be honest. So, but thank you, James, for telling me that and letting me know. And I know one of those wonderful people, so I thank him too. So that's lovely.
Thank you very much, Janelle, for joining us from Norfolk Island, and please stay safe at Norfolk Island.
I shall indeed. Thank you, James, and thanks for inviting me on today. Get well, Kelly. We love you. We miss you, and we're sending all good stuff your direction, my darling, and look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you, everyone. It's been lovely.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you. We'll see you next week.
You've been listening to Both Sides Now and Beyond, featuring spiritual medium and master teacher James Van Praagh and spiritual medium and psychotherapist Kellee White.
That was great. Maybe we changed some lives.
And maybe opened up some minds.
Which way do I turn?
Right. I mean left.